So today I want to talk about in the River of Change workshop with Mila Schneiderman. We were learning about how sometimes when we're finally safe and secure is when the old toxins and energies are getting vomited up. Like bad food we couldn't digest. It's not a sign anything's wrong. It's just that whatever had been sitting at the bottom is now able to be released. And it's like we stir the pot. Oh, my collar. It's like we stir the pot and we make space. And you might want to think of it as like, let's say there's a frightening memory. And you acknowledge it only exists as a memory. It's not happening now. We feel the fear, the discomfort. We allow it to pass, and then we can even shake and tremor. I had my chin quivering, trembling, released a lot of traumatic energy. And we might exhale, we might cry. We don't get stuck. It should have, it could have, because those are doubts, judgments, distractions, and suppressions. Fully face and experiencing it is actually what will help us to get through. So she took us in a really interesting direction. She said it's kind of like the letters. We're basically the letters of like that already exist. It's like they're scrambled. So she brings in this archetype Yosef HaTzadik. She says this is based on the mitteler rebbe's teachings. And she says that Yosef is the dream interpreter, right? And he takes fragmented dream, irrational images, and reorganizes them into truth. The letters already exist. The problem is in their arrangement. From the letters of the imaginations, he combines them into good combinations. So backing up for a second, let's say those memories. So I want to go back and say, like, so whatever was sitting at the bottom, like the frightening memory, let's say. For me, it's often like a feeling, grief, or a grief feeling, right? The grief feeling came up, and it was so painful, and my chin was just quivering as the pain was coming. Eventually it passed, so through this shaking and this tremoring, exhaling, crying, and I would say for me, sometimes even screaming. I'm not telling people to scream, but it's happened for me. And so we don't get stuck in the judgments, like she mentioned, doubts, distraction, suppression, the should have, could have. When we fully face an experience, we're actually now accessing directly these letters. So she says exile is like the dream. It's when there's opposites coexisting. Things don't make sense. There's suspended logic and fragments appear disconnected. The old system is reactive, fragmented, and survival-based. The new system is integrated, aligned, rooted in what we call Das Elyon, the higher knowledge. Dermita is what he calls, it's like this awareness. It's the higher organizing awareness. Energy is asleep. And we know dorm, like dormitory is a place where people sleep. Dormant, from dorm, right? Dorm is like laying dormant, means to be asleep. So it's a withdrawal of intellect. That's a gullus consciousness. That's where we have scattered thoughts, reactive emotions, distorted perception. Reality feels random. The letters form our thoughts and perceptions, inner narratives. We have building blocks of how reality is experienced. And in Gullus, the letters are scrambled. So we have these scattered thoughts, reactive emotions, distorted perception. Reality feels random, right? And the letters, which are forming our thoughts and perceptions, our inner narratives, are actually scrambled. So perception is, meaning is lost, right? And these are the building blocks of how we're experiencing reality in our inner narrative. So the same letters are recombined in tikkun correctly. Tikkun actually means correction. So there's, or order. So it's like clarity comes, truth becomes visible. And what's the source of reordering? It's from Kabbalah, from mysticism. We learn it's called the forehead of Adam Kadmon. And we actually know it's called the frontal lobe, the prefrontal lobe. It's the most ordered executive part of the brain. So you might think it's like the executive function, they call it. And when we think of this, it's in Kabbalah, which everything, it's the physical is represented in this spiritual, it's the executive function brain. So it's called the superconscious will. And this is the place above the structured intellect, not through analysis, logic, overthinking, but a deeper level of awareness that sees the whole picture at once. She says we have interesting because the letters in Hebrew, you can mix them up. So pei, taf, resh. Pei, vav, taf, resh. Poter. In Hebrew means interpreter. An interpreter resolves confusion and is related to the word tofer. Tofer, taf, vav, pei, resh, is tailor, stitches the pieces together, and the word porat, so we did permutations of the words, is fruitful, produces abundance. So Yosef is like a bridge, drawing the higher order awareness and channels, applying it, expressing it below, so there's confusion, right, like in the dream. And instead of fixing reality, or reorganizing perception, somebody could have the suffering and the misinterpretation. While true transformation happens when you access your higher will of awareness from there, recombining the same inner data into truth. The result is expansion, fruitfulness, and you take the fragmented pieces, reorganizing them correctly. Some terms to keep in mind. Adam Kadmon is the meta-awareness, the Das Elyon, the higher knowledge. Galus is subconscious programming, reactive loops. Dream letters are emotional mental fragments. And Yosef is conscious repatterning. Tikkun is the new internal structure. And Parat is expansion, abundance. Survival state, which is Galus, is stress, contraction, disease, imbalance, breakdown, degeneration, fear, anger, sadness, body, environment, time, egocentric, energy loss, emergency, living in the past, narrow focus, separate, worry over future, incoherent, sensory-based, while the creation state is Geula, homeostasis and expansion, health, order, repair, love, regeneration, trust, no time, egoless, no body, no thing, gratitude, growth and repair, open, focused, connected, coherent, energy created, non-sensory-based, living in the present. She says, so we're talking about stress and the survival state, we can identify three main kinds. Physical, which is trauma or accidents, injuries or falls. Chemical, like molds, viruses, pollution, pesticides, toxins, bacteria. And emotional, this is everything from traffic jams, internet connection, second mortgage, single parenting, investments, family, tragedies, so on. Our nervous system that deals with, we have a sympathetic nervous system, which deals with the stress response. Is a branch of the autonomic nervous system, which releases cortisol and adrenaline in the body. And it has three main ways that it shows up. Freeze, the body shuts down and freezes, and it pretends to be dead to confuse the predator. Fight, the body gets ready to fight the enemy. And flight, the body gets ready to escape enemy. In these situations, the pupils dilate, salivary juices shut off. The heart rate goes up, respiratory rate goes up, blood sugar and glucose mobilized. Blood is sent to the extremities and out of internal organs, and we are prepared, right, for any of these states, fight, flight, or freeze. While in a state of creation, we are in a more holistic alpha brainwave. We feel safe, state of imagination, state of dream, more innovative, more creative, more communicative, collaborative, supportive, trusting, lose track of space and time. We're in the present moment. The tool to get there is breathing, because when we feel the need to connect, or we're feeling stressed and anxious, or we lose our focus or feel out of control, or we want to set an intention, or we want peace or clarity, we are anyway breathing. We may as well make it conscious. We can stop the brain racing and bring ourselves to the present moment. For example, let's try this together. We inhale slowly through the nose to a count of 5. Then we exhale that way also to count of 5. And we repeat 3 to 5 breaths or several minutes of this. So we'll do 5 breaths of the 5 breaths of the counting in and breathing out. Feels so peaceful. She says creative breathing is when we actually pause. We create a positive thought. We inhale that thought into the heart and the entire being. And then we pause and we identify a limiting thought and exhale this out of the body. So let's do 5 breaths like that. We're going to breathe in. You could choose whatever you want. I want to choose something meaningful for me. I'm going to breathe in self-love. And breathe out self-doubt. 5 rounds. Self-love. Forgot to breathe out through the nose. Self-doubt. Let me redo that one. She finishes by saying gratitude is really important because it's the state of receiving, acknowledgement like it already took place, and a habit making is 40 days. You actually could think of the example of when you eat your meals at a certain time every day. Your body will start to salivate at that prior to that time. Or when you're writing a memoir and you do it at a certain time, it makes your mind actually prepare. It will be ready to write at that time. So, in this, what we call the river of change, we might feel like we're in the middle, she says sometimes, like we're not able to touch the ground, but just trust that we're interpreting and tailoring for fruitfulness, okay?